Hello. In this video, I'm going to look at how you can deploy a Twitter bot written in node.js to an Amazon EC2 instance. In particular, one of the reasons I want to use an Amazon EC2 instance in this case is because not only is my Twitter bot written in node.js, but my Twitter bot triggers a processing sketch, which is a Java program, to create an image, and that image is posted to Twitter. So if you want to make a image producing Twitter bot, this is one solution for you. This is not the be-all end-all solution, of course, because there's lots of ways to write Twitter bots and there's lots of ways to make images, but you can see here. So in a moment, I'm going to start going through those steps, but let's just kind of get a lay of the land here for a second. So here you can see this is a particular Twitter bot. It posts an image made from processing. You can see the image here. This is the processing sketch. If I run the processing sketch here, you can see it just draws this particular image. It also saves it to a file and exits because here now is the code. You can see the code in Node is triggering that processing sketch here. And now if I run that code, the image bot is starting. It says it worked. And if I go back to Twitter, we can see here I got another one. Now these two images are different, even though they look remarkably the same, remarkably similar, but they are different, right? Someone doing a quick pixel analysis. They're different. They have to be different. Otherwise, my whole understanding of the way the universe works is faulty. Okay, so now we see this is how you run this stuff locally. This is what I did in all the previous videos in this playlist about Node Twitter bot things. Now we need to look at how do we deploy this stuff to an Amazon EC2 instance? Basically, any Linux server, you could follow these same steps, and I'm just going to happen to use Amazon. And I was able to do this with a free account. Now, at some point, you might discover you have to pay, but for the most part, it seems like you can run this using free credits, at least for quite a long time. Okay, so I do happen to have these notes online on a web page, which will be linked to in the description of this video, which presumably you are watching at some other time than the actual moment that I'm speaking right now. But the first thing I'm going to do here is go to this link, Amazon EC2. But actually, I can just type in Amazon EC2, probably into Google. And I'm going to even just go down here and click on the first result. And what I want to do is sign into the console. The console is where I'm going to get to configure my server. So that's the first thing I want to do, sign into the console. And then I have to enter in my password. And I don't want Chrome to save it. Okay, I'm presented with this terrifying page of like 50 zillion things we could do. There's so much here, I have no idea what any of it does. But up here in the top left, EC2, virtual servers in the cloud, floating in the air. So those servers, which are more likely in an underground bunker somewhere, not in a cloud, but this is what I want. I want to run a server somewhere else where I can run this particular bot. So I'm going to click on EC2, and I get an EC2 management console. And oh, good. Oh no, I do. I currently have one running instance, which is, I guess, probably some previous test that I did at another time. But I'm going to just click Launch Instance. And now I'm presented also with a terrifying set of objects, of options. So I'm going to go back to my notes page where I said, this is the one that I happen to use. So there's different versions of Linux operating systems and different kinds of, and the key things that I'm looking for, one is free tier eligible. I'm going to see if I can get this running on the free tier. The other is I need one that can also not just run Node, but run Java. And so happens that this Ubuntu server 14.04, it happens to also be able to run Java. I also want to make sure I pick general purpose, free tier micro, and then set review and launch. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look for that one, which is this one. I'm going to hit select over here. I don't know if you guys can see this. I should make but Ubuntu Server 14.04. I'm going to hit select. A general purpose, T2 free tier eligible. I'm going to hit review and launch. And now it is launched. Great. Oh no, launch. Now I'm going to hit launch. And, okay. So So here's the deal. This is the weirdest part of working with Amazon EC2 is how you're going to now authenticate and log into it. And you need to create this secret file that holds the keys to your server. Now, apparently, I've been here before, and I've made a bunch of these because I was showing different examples. So you likely won't have any previous keys you can use. But I'm going to create a new key pair. So I need to give it a name, and I'm going to call it coding rainbow, if you can see that. And I'm going to then click download key pair. Oh, yikes. What happened? I'm zooming I've completely lost my ability to zoom effectively. So I'm going to hit download key pair, and we should see hopefully that, you can see here, I'm standing in front of it, but down here under my downloads, in the downloads, there is now this file, codingrainbow.pem. You must have this file. I now need that file always and forever to log into this EC2 instance in a variety of different ways that I'll show you. Okay, so I have that file now, and now I should be able to now finally say launch instances. Now that I have that file, I can say launch instances, and I'm waiting. Your instances are now launching, and now I can go to view instances, and I'm not worrying about that right now. So you can see this is clearly one that I made a while ago when I was doing another tutorial or another test, and you can see this one hasn't actually completely launched yet. So this is the problem of making these videos in real time, where I sometimes I just stand here like completely awkwardly, like dumbfounded. I don't know what to do. It's pending. Let's go to the next steps, and when we come back, hopefully it'll be working. So okay, so I followed these steps. I did this part. Now, okay. So what I need to do now is use that file to be able to log into that instance. So the way that the first thing I need to do is actually change the file's permissions. So files on computers have permissions. Some files are like locked and you can't edit them. Some files are applications that can be executable. This particular key file needs CH stands for like change, modify. Actually, what does it stand for? Somebody tell me. Somebody write. I'll do an annotation here. But I need to run this command to change its file permissions. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I need to do is I need to go to where that file is. So actually, I'm just going to put that file on the desktop. You can come up with a better place to put it. And I'm going to go to the desktop, and I can see there is that file. And I guess I'm zoomed in or something. So now what I want to do is, type in this particular command, chmod 400, and then that file name, which was codingrainbow.pem. So that's the first thing I've done. I've now changed the file permissions to 400 for that particular file. And then now I can do something called SSH. SSH, secure shell. So basically what I want to do is in the same way that I'm here in terminal on my computer, and I can look at the files by saying ls. I can run the files by saying like node. What I want to do is be able to remote into that Amazon EC2 instance so that the terminal I'm looking at, the commands I'm typing are actually not running on my laptop, which is here. It was dangerous to pick it up. Not running on this laptop, but actually the commands are executing on the server floating in the cloud that's buried in the underground bunker. Okay, so let's see here if, me rambling for a long period of time, we're at 9 minutes here, has actually caused this instance to be running. I don't know why it doesn't have a name here. Let me give it a name. So, and one thing I can do here, if I zoom in and right click, see this connect option? This is going to be really useful to me because actually it gives me all of, right? This is the command. I've got the command right here. This is like the public, this is like the address essentially of that instance. And then here it's actually giving me the exact command to log into it. So I don't even need to figure out what it is. I can just copy this and go back to terminal and paste that in here, hit enter, and okay, this is the first time that I'm connecting, so my computer is saying, I don't know about this. I haven't connected this place before. Is there anything that I should be afraid of here? There's nothing, so I should type yes. And now it's added, and then I just sit here and I wait, and I hope that the internet will oblige me and connect. There we go. So look at that. You can now see here that I am connected. I have logged in under my new name, Ubuntu, to my new address, IP 172.31.34.179. So now I can do things like say pwd, would print working directory. Here I am in home/Ubuntu. I can type ls, and I can see there's nothing there. So now this is great, right? This bot, which I have here locally on my computer, I want to be able to get it over here on my Amazon EC2 instance. So how do I upload files there? So one way to upload files to your Amazon EC2 instance is with FTP, or File Transfer Protocol, secure FTP. So the way that I could do that is you could use any FTP software and all sorts of, there's probably a way to do it through the web, it's through a browser, but I'm going to use something called CyberDuck, which you can Google and download. I already have it installed here. And so I'm going to run CyberDuck. And what I'm going to do here, I have a CyberDuck open. What I want to hit is this open connection. So I click open connection, and now I have this window where what I need to do is put in all the information for that Amazon EC2 instance. So first thing I want to do is make sure I do SFTP. It's got to be Secure Shell File Transfer Protocol. And then the server address, if I go back to here, should be this, right? This is connect to your instance using the public DNS. It's this. So I'm going to copy this and go back to CyberDuck. Paste that in here. Now, there's this interesting question here, which is, what's my username and password? Well, I don't have a username and password. I have this weird codingrainbow.pem private key file. It turns out in CyberDuck, under more options, I can click that, and I can say use public key authentication. So I click that, and now I go to the desktop, and I select this file, and now I now have this file selected as my way of authenticating, and I should be able to just say connect. Oh, maybe I need to write Ubuntu here, just in the username. And it works. Okay, phew. So that was one little step that I had personally forgotten that I need to put in the username. I need to say Ubuntu. But now I just have this window here, right? This is now a view into home/Ubuntu. So what do I want to do? I want to go, and I want to just go here. This folder here, Node 5, is where I have all of my stuff. And I'm just going to take bot, config, and package.json. I'm just going to upload those files right now. So I can drag them in here, drag those files into here, and they're now uploading. A little window is telling me progress. They're transferring. I can see that those files are listed here right now. And now I can go back here, and I can say ls, and you can see those files are there. Yay! These things are working. So now, running out of breath here, now I can type in node, and you know this is going to not work because I've missed a set of steps here, but node bot.js, and so what's happening here? The program node can be found in the following packages: node, node.js legacy. So, and then it's saying sudo apt-get install selected package. So one thing we first have to do is at least configure node to work the way that we want it to work. And I believe that I have mentioned that here. And these are some steps that you can do. So let's actually just run through these steps. The first thing I want to do is do sudo apt-get update. So what that does is just says this apt-get thing, which is a tool to like get things like Node and other software. I want to make sure it's updated and has all of the most recent stuff. So that's done. Then the next thing I want to do is install node.js, which say sudo apt-get install node.js. So I'm going to run that. My audio is still working. This is asking me if I want to use the disk space, which of course I do. So I'm going to run and install node.js, which is great. Then I also want to make sure I have npm installed, which is Node Package Manager, which you might remember from the previous Node tutorials. And this needs 130 megabytes of disk space, so hopefully this doesn't take too long. This is installing. Now, the next step, while this is installing, let's talk about the next step for a second. This is now a command to make sure that the particular version of Node that I installed is now the actual version of Node that will run when I type in the Node command. So I am going to grab this command here and hope that this is done. It's done. And I'm going to, because watch what happens if I just type Node right now. It doesn't actually know what node. It can be found in the, it's like, well, which one should I run? Node.js Legacy or this one Node? So I want to make sure that I run this particular one with that command. And now when I type Node, you'll see I'm in Node. So now I have Node running on my Amazon EC2 instance, and I can, oh wait, if I say clear here, oh, it does still work. I can say node bot.js. Now, first error I get is it cannot find module twit. This is going to be, notice when I uploaded my files, remember how I said I uploaded the files? I didn't upload the directory that said node modules. I could have uploaded that directory, but it makes more sense for me to just let those modules get installed by Amazon itself. So I can just type in npm install, and it's now going to install all the modules that are needed for this particular bot. We went through this locally. Now I'm doing this on the server. So if we looked here and I refreshed, you can see that now there is a directory called node modules, which has, for example, that twit module in it. So now I should be able to say node bot.js, and it will run. Now, here's the thing. It runs. So these are all the steps you need if you just have a plain old bot that only runs in Node. But the reason why I got an error now is it can't find that image file, output.png. The reason why it can't find that image file, output.png, is because that's the image file that's created by the processing sketch. So while this part of the video I've now concluded, like you could, if you just have a node.js bot, you're kind of done, although there's another step of getting it to run after you log out, which I will get to. But let's get the image itself to, let's get the image making processing sketch to run as well. So let's look at how we do that. And there's a lot of like sort of awfully scary looking weird commands to do that. Okay. Actually, so yeah, I'll come back to the forever thing. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make sure Java is on our server. So first thing I want to do is install Java, which I want to say apt-get install default JRE. So I'm going to put that in and run that. And it's going to take 209 megabytes of disk space. I'm going to say yes. So now I'm installing Java. And I'm going to wait for that to install. And let's go back while we're doing that to the next step. The next step, okay, so look at all these like terrifyingly weird looking commands. So what's the weird thing that has to happen? When you work with processing on a computer, your computer is typically connected to a monitor, a screen, and you're seeing the output of processing on that screen. Your Amazon EC2 instance has no screen. It has no GUI interface. It's just a server that you can SSH into or FTP files to, but it's known as headless. Meaning processing actually, when it runs, it breaks because it's like, I don't know what graphics thing to draw anything to. There is no graphics thing. So these next steps are steps that create a fake display. Essentially, the EC2 instance has this display. You're tricking it into thinking that it is connected to a display because we don't need to see it. We just want the graphics to be rendered to a file. So the first thing I'm going to do is install something called XVFB, which you could Google to find out what it is. I'm going to run this particular command, which will install this tool for a fake display. The other thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to give it an actual screen, which has a resolution of 1024 by 768. Why not? So I will do that. And it gives some weird little errors, but big deal. So this seems to be running a process that I need to now quit out of. So I'm going to hit Control C to do that. And then OK. So this was the command that creates that screen. And that screen was there only while it's running. But I also now need to export it and assign it to be display 1. So actually, these commands are no good. So this is the command. Let me explain that again. So I'm going to run this command, right? And that screen now exists for processing to draw into. But I can't type in any other commands here because it's running. So what I needed to do is I needed to run in the background. And a command for having things run in the background is no hup. So I'm actually going to say this now. And now you can see I'm back to my terminal, but that screen is now created. And I also just want to assign it display number 1. That's what processing will draw to, display number 1. So that's done. So now we're in good shape. Now, here's the thing. If we go back to the code, you'll notice here, this is the code that I ran locally on my laptop for triggering processing to run, processing-java. But actually, now that I'm on a Amazon server, boy, I'm 20 minutes in. Is anybody still watching this 20 minutes into a tutorial about uploading stuff to Amazon EC2? But I'm now on an Amazon EC2 instance, which is a Linux machine. So there's actually a different way that I can do this. I can go to my processing sketch, and I can go under File, Export Application. So Export Application is something you can always do. And it opens up a little window. And what I want to actually do is check Linux. Okay? I want to export it as a Linux application. Now, there is this embed Java option, which I'm kind of confused whether I want to select. I don't recall whether I need to select that or not. Let's try unselecting it. I probably should keep it selected, but let's try unselecting it. And I'm going to hit export. So you can see here, now I have the Linux application. Incidentally, here's a version that you could run on a Raspberry Pi, which we'll get to later. So now I should be able to go back and upload this to, OK, so I'm going to have this application which I want to include. So, boy, this tutorial is not going very well. That light went off, camera went off. I don't know why this light keeps going off. So I'm going to now what I need to do is I need to take this folder, and I'm going to upload that folder to my server. So I'm going to upload that here. So I'm uploading that Linux application. Dun, dun, dun. It's there. Now, I'm also going to rename this file, this folder, and call it Rainbow. And I do want to do that. So you can see here, the application is now here in this particular folder. So the first thing we need to do is figure out, does this even work? So remember here, I'm now logged in to the server, and you can see there is a directory called Rainbow. So I can go into that directory, we can see what's there. This is actually the application. And the way in Linux, the way that you execute something is with /rainbow, and it's going to say permission denied. So I did miss a step there, which is that the permissions of the file, I have to set the permissions to be executable, which I can do by saying chmod 777 rainbow. And now I should be able to say /rainbow and run it. And it did something. It finished. And now let's type ls. And we can see, look at that. There is a file in there now called output.png. So if I go in here and hit refresh, and we go grab this file, and I download it to my desktop, and I take a look at it, you can see this is the image that was now generated on the server. So now we have the processing sketch as an exported Linux application running on the Amazon EC2 instance. Boy, I know this is like 20-some minutes into this long tutorial, but we're so close now to actually making the thing run. It's very exciting. Okay, so now, if I go back to here, one thing you'll notice, I'm going to go back to the code, is remember this? This was the command that I had for running on my Mac to execute a processing sketch using processing command line, processing-java. But now that it's a Linux application, the only thing I need to do is actually I change that command to this, /rainbow. Only that's not exactly right because it's in a different directory. And so I'm going to go here, and I just need to make sure I have the folder. So I think actually I can just do this, rainbow/rainbow. And now I've changed the code. And since I changed the code, I also need to re-upload the code to the server. So I'm overwriting it, continue. So now that new code is running on the server. And I should be able to go back a directory. So now what's here? We have bot.js, which triggers the processing application, which is in Rainbow, and communicates with the Twitter API and posts a tweet. So let's see if this works. Image bot is starting. It worked. And now if I go here and look at the bot, we should see 7 seconds ago this particular image. Now, I want to make sure it's really overwriting and making a new image. So the only way I can think to really do that is to go into the processing sketch for a second and change this to like a green value. So let's make, whoops. You can see now the color should be green. And I'm going to export this, export application as a Linux application, go into here, take this, and I probably shouldn't be doing this right now. I'm going to upload it. So I'm replacing it. Here we go. So now I uploaded the new application. And I'm going to go into that directory. I'm going to, whoops, change the permissions again. You don't ever need to do this. I just want to really make sure it's working, which is risky because it might not be. I'm going to go back up a directory, and I'm going to say node bot.js. Image bot is starting. It says it worked, but I'm not entirely sure it overwrote that file. I have a bad feeling it didn't. Ah, it did! Okay, that's magical. So it does work. So, and I can run it again. Now, this particular bot, by the way, you noticed it just quits. It only does it once. And you can see we got another one. These are two, even though it's the same color scheme, they're different. I should just make a processing sketch that makes a much more recognizable image. But here's the thing. What you want probably is your bot to be running continuously. So the one thing is just to add set interval to the code. But the other thing that you need is to use a tool known as forever. So this is the last piece that's on this particular walkthrough. So in other words, what you want is for the Node app to run forever in the background, even when you log out of Amazon. Your instance, and forever, we saw that this no-hup thing is a way of doing it, which is also a way, but Node has its own way of doing that, which is something called forever. So I can say sudo npm install forever-g. So this is a Node module that's not associated with a particular Node application, but a sort of global thing that you would run across a lot of applications. So if I copy that here, that's going to install this tool called forever. And then it's going to do my forever install dance. And then I can now start and stop things. I can say forever start bot.js. which is running it. And you can set all sorts of parameters like how long should it be up for, how long should it sleep, and all that thing. But I'm just letting it use the defaults. And another thing I can type now is forever.list, I think. And you can see, let's hold on. Let's make this a little bit more easy for you to see. Forever.list. And you can see that this is the particular process that's running, node.js bot.js. So if I wanted, that one's just running now forever. It's not tweeting forever because the process is not set to do that. But I can do things like say forever stop all, I believe, which just stopped everything. So now if I say forever list again, there's no forever processes running. And I can say forever start again. So there's lots of different ways. So this is what you want to do. So if I set that running and I log out, my bot is now going to be running forever on that Amazon EC2 instance. Woof! This is like probably one of the longest tutorial videos I've ever made. It was completely sort of like frantic and a little haphazard. And this is probably hard to follow. Probably, to be honest with you, this page of instructions might actually make it easier. But let me just review to recap what I covered in this particular very long tutorial, which is that first thing you want to do is create that server instance. You need to get a key pair, a file, so that you can log into it. Once you've logged into it, you want to SSH into it, meaning connect to it from terminal. Then you want to do things like install node. Then you want to connect to it with FTP, SFTP, CyberDuck, being a tool for doing that. That allows you to upload your files there. Once you've uploaded your files there, you can run your bot. But if your bot also runs a processing sketch, you want to also install Java, run these commands to create the fake display in the background, then export your processing sketch as a Linux application and upload that. Once you have all of that there, then you can use forever to run your node bot that triggers the processing sketch. This is like the kick the cat that my father bought for 2 zuzim, but anyway, it's that runs the node, that runs the processing sketch, that creates the fake display, that runs with forever, my father bought for, anyway, whatever. So all those steps and you've got your thing running. So if anybody actually watched this entire video and actually has a node bot running on an Amazon EC2 instance successfully, I don't know, please send me a tweet or something, or to let me know, because that would make me happy to hear that. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now. I will, in the description for this video, link to the written instructions, link to all the references you need, and hopefully this will be something that's useful to somebody someday, somewhere in the universe.